Good morning, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and hello world. And now again, you are watching your favorite show that can clear your mind and answer our questions. This is Bernaling Show. Today, we invited the two persons who will discuss who have been formulated explaining the development of personality. But before we start, let's talk about their work and who they are. Review girls. A pleasant morning to all our viewers. I'm here to give you some trivia about our guest for today. Charles Horton Cooley was born on August 17, 1864, was an American sociologist and the son of Thomas and he studied and went to teach economics and sociology at the University of Michigan, and he was a founding member in the 8th of the American Sociological Association. He is perhaps best known for his concept of looking glass self, which is the concept that a person's self grows out of society's interpersonal interactions and the perfections of others. Charles Horton was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on August 17, 1864, to Mary Elizabeth Horton and Michigan Supreme Court Justice Thomas M. Cooley. He was the first of the 6 children. Cooley graduated from University of Michigan in 1887 and continued with a year's training in mechanical engineering at the same school. In 1888, he returned for a master's degree in political economics with a minor in sociology. He began teaching economics and sociology at the university in the fall of 1892. Cooley went on to receive a Philippine in 1894. His doctoral thesis was of transportation in economics. He began teaching sociology in the economic year of 1894 to 1895. What an energetic girl! And now let's proceed to our next guest, Bernadette. Who is him? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. First on to our first expert. Let's talk about Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was born on May 6, 1856 in Moravia. His family moved to Vienna when he was 4 or 5 and lived most of his life. A young child, he went to medical school and studied under physiology, a professor named Ernst Bruck. Bruck still in reductionism, the idea that personality could be reduced to neurology. Freud was to abandon this idea later in life. Freud was highly controversial. His book and lectures brought him both fame and ostracism from the mainstream medical community. He drew around him a number of bright sympathizers who became the core of the physicoanalytic movement, but he tended to reject people who did not totally agree with him. Many separated from him and went on to found competing schools of thought. Freud migrated to England before World War II, when Vienna became an increasingly dangerous place for Jews, especially one as famous Freud. Not long afterwards, he died there of cancer. Just imagine where the voice came from. Anyway, after we share some information about our guests, and now, I know that you make a mental who they are. Since I know who did the first comprehensive theory, so I'll come first. According to Freud's theory, socialization is a process characterized by the internal struggle between the biological components and the social-cultural environment. Oh, how about the looking glass self of Mr. Cooley? He called that looking glass self because that is the ability of children to visualize themselves through the eyes of others, to imagine how they appear to others. Oh, so they both theory are depicting that the development of personality affected by the other's world or environment. Not actually, because Freud truly developed the psychodynamic view of human behavior. This model pointed out the personality development have various stages in childhood. What are those stages? The first one is the oral stage from birth to 1 year old. In this stage, eating is a major source of satisfaction. I describe the stage as one of narcissism or self-love. The next, the anal stage. From ages 1 to 3 years, the anal zone becomes the center of a child's sexual interest. Then the phallic stage between the ages of 3 to 6 years. At this time, the greatest source of pleasure comes from the sixth sex organ. This is when the child desires the parent of the opposite sex. And the latency stage from 6 to 11 years of early adolescence. The child enters this period with strong defense against the audible feelings. The final stage, the genital stage or puberty stage, starts at about 11 for girls and 13 for boys. In this stage, the audible feelings recur, and the child develops conscience for parents. Eventually, they focus on the opposite sex, look around for a love partner, prepare for marriage, and adult responsibility. Like what you said, according to Curly, during childhood, the family, friends, teachers, classmates, and peer group exert a great influence in a child's self-concept. But you don't have birth stages. And Freud says on the sex instinct, it seems to be our discussions getting warmer, so let's move on. Both of them have divided their own theory into three elements. And what are those? Explain each of those three. Freud proposed that personality consists of three major systems, namely the id, ego, and superego. The id is the biological component, which is the source of a number of drives and urges. The ego is the mediator between the needs of the individual and the real world, and strives to attention until the suitable environment exists. And the superego, the moral arm personality representing the traditional rules, values, and ideas of society. You mean that the ego is the mediator between the id and superego? Yes, you get it! How about the looking glass self of Mr. Cooley? The looking glass self has also three elements. The first, the imagination of how we appear to other persons. The imagination of the judgment of the appearance. And sort of self-feeling such as pride or mortification. In other terms, people shaping their self-concepts based on their understanding of how others perceive them. The most compelling criticisms of Freudian personality point out that your theory is created upon a lack of scientific data. But the most important reason of Freud's psychoanalytic theories is perhaps the fact that it ignited more study of the human mind. Your theories are the motivation behind an individual's behavior, those leading to move to more study and discovery of new ideas and theories. And again, we learned a lot from our 10 minute discussions about our experts Sigmund Freud and Charles Carson Curley. See you again next week in our favorite show. This is Bernaline Show.